Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget about peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Yeah! Welcome! Dan Le Batard Show, a Friday morning, the 21st of March. Good to have you aboard. I'm Jonathan Zaslow. Alongside is my pal Mike Ryan. Hello, how are you this morning?
Oh, my God. I popped for that. There are local Zaslow marks in this market that remember hearing that.
I haven't done that in years. Been a little while.
I had to drag it out of you. You had a morning.
I had him. Well, first of all, it takes me forever to get here, so like I'm able to accomplish a lot in the morning. I got to get up early. I don't normally get up early. Okay, I'm on my own schedule, and I got up early today and yesterday, of course. I'm glad to be back here with you today.
Glad to have you back.
And yeah, so I was out last night. I was with my wife. Sometimes you got to do date night, all right? You got to take the women out. You got to let them know that you still care about them.
First night of the tournament, though?
We went to a show, all right? So I am in control over that. And
what are your thoughts on foreplay?
Well, either you're good at it or you're not. And I would tell you, if you're good at it, you don't need to brag. I mean, it is what it is.
But you also need to fight against certain allegations and, confidently stand your ground.
Some more than most.
Well, Jeremy, I'm proud of you.
So I had some time this morning, which was great because I never miss a Florida Panther game. Never, ever, ever. I record every game, and last night...
You got TiVo still? You have DVRs?
Remember how long we called it TiVo?
Yeah.
It's TiVo was the name to record something on television.
Dude, that usually means you stand the test of time. Like, there are different search engines there, but people say, hey, go ahead and Google that for me. It doesn't matter what teleconference app you're on. Hop on the Zoom.
Right.
So, right.
It's
like, can I TiVo this? Was the lexicon in the lexicon forever until on-demand programming, I guess, and streaming.
Yep. So I never miss a Panther game. I mean, I'm beside myself if I have to miss a Panther game. I love that team so much. I love you, Sasha Barkov. And so I didn't get to watch the game last night because I got home late. I was really tired. I watched the entire Panther game this morning.
All right, so I have a couple questions.
Which got the weekend start off on the right foot, by the way. You think I need that shit in my life to start a Friday morning if the Panthers losing? Come on, we're in a good mood today.
Barkov was your boy.
He was my boy last night. He was very good.
So the first question that I have is, were you able to avoid any spoilers?
Of course. Yeah. So it's easy to avoid the spoilers last night because, like, it's on my mind. All right, the Panthers are playing right now. Let's not check Twitter. None of that stuff. But when I woke up this morning, the first thing I did, like, I go to the bathroom. I'm doing my thing. I'm on the throne. And so I'm scrolling through my phone.
Before or after coffee?
No, before. First thing. Before.
Really?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the coffee to activate it.
Nope. I don't know what you got going on, but that's not the way I do it.
No.
And
it's
so
well chronicled on these in this show.
So I'm scrolling the phone. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I don't want to have the Panther game spoiled for me. So then I put the phone away, and I was like, let's put the Panther game on. So I had the Panther game on when I'm getting ready in the bathroom this morning to come in and look all pretty for all you guys. And, yeah, I finished the game, like, right before I got here this morning.
So you fast forward through commercials, but
you
watch everything. So you
didn't fast forward through any of the games, so the whole game.
So you started your morning with a 0-0.
Yeah, I watched 60 minutes of nothing.
Regulation.
No scoring.
Tie.
But it was a great game.
It was.
I thoroughly it was as good a 0-0 game could be.
That third period, the goalies stood on their head.
Great game.
It was great. You had the controversy with Jenner kicking in the goal.
That wasn't controversial. It was a very easy, let's take away that goal. That's cheating.
Yeah.
Against the rule.
No, it's pretty
very
obvious.
easy.
It's always controversial when a goal gets removed off the board, but it was, letter of the law, plain as
so easy.
plain as day.
Yeah.
that was an easy call to make and the right call. But they go into the overtime with a 4-on-3 advantage.
Huge.
Which, Roy,
Delay a game penalty in the third period.
Can't do that. It's cheating too.
Yep.
The 4-on-3 is like the most difficult penalty to kill, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. When you start overtime on 3 and 3, I know that there's 5-on-3 penalties, but for whatever reason, if you go up a man in that 5-minute overtime session, it's pretty much lights out. To kill that would take
teams are not used to 4-on-3 power plays.
There's this fascinating stat that got chucked into our hockey chat yesterday that there were 776 fewer power plays called this season at this point in the season than last.
Why is that?
Well, one of the prevailing theories is that teams have gotten so good on the power play this season in particular that it is such an advantage that.
So teams are being more careful and not taking penalties?
Well, one argument could be teams are playing cleaner, but the other argument is the referees are taking note that giving a power play essentially gives another team a goal. So they're being more judicious when they call these things because it is such a huge advantage.
I mean, heck, last night, the penalty at the end of regulation was just the 4th penalty called all game.
Yeah, they've been calling fewer penalties, and I think the Florida Panthers, because they're reigning defending Stanley Cup champions, they're playing a lot of games that have playoff-like atmospheres.
Yeah, you're getting everyone's best punch every night.
And the refs, they swallow the whistle in these games. But if we are indeed in a new era of the NHL where the Stripes are swallowing the whistle some, that benefits the Florida Panthers, who are an excellent 5-on-5 team.
Great 5-on-5 team. I can't help but remember last year in the Stanley Cup Finals when you'd have the matching minors and you would have the 4-on-4. What a disaster. It was like we were on the penalty kill. It was a disaster against that Edmonton team every time that you had to go 4-on-4. But yes, normally even strength is a positive for this team. So my weekend got started off on the right note. I don't need to start the weekend with a Panther loss. I'd have been in a terrible mood this morning, and I want to be in a great mood for you guys. So I'm ready to go. I'm firing all cylinders here.
This road trip hasn't exactly been the best for the Panthers. And the schedule for the rest of the season, it's going
to be tough on tomorrow, too. Tomorrow you got Washington Capitals.
Another back-to-back.
Ovechkin now 7 away from the record. I don't like that he's going to get that record, but it is what it is. It's futile for me to root against it.
You know he's also like 3rd in hits all time?
Yeah.
He's just a remarkable player.
He's a bowling ball.
It's not Gretzky, but he's a good player.
Well, he's about to be, at least for one of the more important aspects of the game.
It's not Gretzky.
Well, his nickname is not the Great One, but it is Alexander the Great.
Yeah, the Great 8.
Yeah, so.
No, they needed that. They needed those points last night because you got Washington tomorrow, and it's what are we talking? It's a 2-3 road trip.
Toronto
so
within striking distance. Thankfully,
yeah, they're even.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tied with Toronto.
Thankfully, there's been a recent dip in form, but they got that a comeback victory against Toronto. One last Panther topic before we move on, and the reason why we're starting with Panthers is because he just watched the game this morning.
I'm in a great mood. Come on,
they're defending
Fresh
Stanley
ahead.
Cup champions, and March Madness is March Madness. We keep trying to tell you this. It's not a good tournament. There's individual moments, but especially when the secret sauce Tony ain't coming through.
There was secret sauce in a couple different games.
Percolating.
What is the secret sauce?
White guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
2025, baby.
That's kind of always been the secret sauce for the NCAA
Always
tournament.
been.
Always has been.
Always has been.
Got to get a Cherokee Parks in there. Got to get a Christian Leitner.
Got to get a Norman Osborn hairline
Jimmer
in
Fredette.
there. Yeah, Jimmer. You need the secret sauce. Roy, your thoughts?
Greg Paulus.
Nah, I'm not. I haven't watched a single game yet, unfortunately.
It's because you're waiting for the secret sauce.
Yes, I am.
We'll get to March Madness in a second, but I do want to button one thing up on the Florida Panthers because I think you kind of got my ass yesterday on the Brad Marchand thing, and
Got that ass.
you got that ass.
Hey.
You got it. If the people in the locker room are okay with it, I got to be okay with it too.
Right.
But I'm also an emotional fan. I'm not getting paid by the organization to make this work. I see his stupid face, and it conjures up all sorts of emotions, and it's going to be difficult to deprogram myself for that. He may have good moments in that red shirt. That would help. That would certainly help. But I also think he's incredibly overrated at this point in his career. I know he's a great playoff performer.
20 goal scorer so far this year. I mean, at 36 years old,
people got to get the numbers on that team. Pasternak's going to get the numbers on that team, but Florida is way more loaded than Boston. And I look at what my preference is. I think on merit you could argue, and it's not going to be the case. He didn't come here to be a third liner, but I think on merit you could argue Brad Marchand, talent-wise at this point in his career, would be a third liner It's all about fit and where you want him. I do kind of want to see the Bennett Kachuk thing just laugh at everybody because people are going to hate that line. But, Roy, are you with me on this?
No, he's going to be straight up on the second line, and that line is going to be it's going to be
understand. I understand he's going to be on the second line.
And the power play, by the way. He's going to help tremendously.
But at this stage in his career, if you tell me in a vacuum, who would you like to see hit the ice a little bit more? Mackey or Brad Marchand?
Well, Mackey.
I'd like to see Mackey more. I think he's far more effective. I think there's probably an argument to be made for Verhaeghe, which I'm starting to regret that contract a little bit.
Yeah.
It's probably not the same. We've probably seen the best of Carter Verhaeghe. I mean, that's not a hot take, but it's certainly something I'm concerned about.
I don't know. Guys, some of this stuff is random with the goal scoring. It's not like the NBA where if you're in the prime of your career, you're going to have these numbers every single year, no matter what. Like, it's a little bit like baseball like that, where there's some randomness. You could be in your prime and you didn't hit for average the way you did the previous year. Like, it's like that in hockey, too. You don't get as many chances. But I text you, like, the day after the Marchand trade. I was like, hey, Marchand, crazy, right? And Mike texts me back, I hope he's a healthy scratch every game.
Wow, man.
Don't like him.
Wow.
And look, I've never hated a hockey player, more than I hated, I guess, Brad Marchand. Never hated a player more. So it's really difficult to digest that they just traded for this guy. And my whole deal was I need to hear him say he wants to win a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers. I needed to hear him say that. And he essentially did. He did on the Monday of the press conference. And then on Tuesday, he's out there skating with Sam Bennett. And Sam Bennett posts the picture with the two of them and says, just a couple of scumbags.
That
was like,
great.
Okay, well, if the guys... See, here's the thing where I say to you, if the guys in the dressing room are okay with the guy that they used to hate, don't I kind of have to be okay with the guy? And the difference is with hockey, in football, when the Dolphins play the Jets... The Dolphin players don't hate the Jet players. The Jets players don't hate the Dolphin. The fans hate, but the players don't hate. The difference in hockey is they do hate the guys in the other dressing room. I mean, Ryan Lomberg, who plays for the Calgary Flames now, they were playing the Tampa Bay Lightning earlier this season. He says, I hate these effing guys. You don't even play for the Panthers anymore. These guys actually hate the other guys in the dressing room.
Miss Loms.
And so if they're okay with it, I kind of have to be okay with it then.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. If you're a noted Heat fan, one of the most famous and celebrated Miami Heat fans in the nation, your face is first up on Celebrity Picks on ESPN. On
That's
the
right.
channel.
Right next to Vital and Billis.
Yep. So you are a Heat fan of repute. Let's say Allen Houston came to town and wore a Miami Heat uniform. Do you think you'd ever warm up to that?
If Jamal Mashburn's cool with it, I'm cool with it.
I'm actually not cool with Jamal Mashburn.
Clarence Weatherspoon's cool with it.
I'm not taking cues from Mashburn and what he likes and doesn't like. I'm not even comfortable with him sitting first row at the Heat games. Would I have been okay with Allen Houston on the team? Yeah, I mean, I would have had to have been. What, am I going to root against him? It's not like he's a bad person off the court.
I was always rooting against Kyle Lowry. Always. I did not like that.
Well, obviously.
Hated that guy.
I mean, I told you a million times. I mean, I've never disliked the Miami Heat. It's very rare that I dislike a player who's on my team. I'll find a way to root for them. And I actively disliked Kyle Lowry his entire time here. It just shows you how terrible Terry Rozier has been, the fact that I'll sit here and tell you that was a terrible trade, but it also tells you how badly the organization wanted Lowry out, that they were willing to trade him for Rozier in a first-round pick. I hated Kyle Lowry.
So there isn't anyone in the Heat's history. They've had storied rivals. People forget how intense that Pistons rivalry was.
Like, yeah.
I hated that team.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if Paul Pierce came to town and wore a Heat jersey.
Yeah, Paul Pierce, that's what I think that was the comparison I made with Brad Marchand, where it had been like if the Heat traded for Paul Pierce, and I don't want that. You think I want to root for that piece of shit? Like, I don't want him on my team. I will not root for him.
It's the truth.
That is the truth.
That what I said was the truth.
Yeah.
That's right.
And credit to me. I'll tell it to his face. He knows that.
Yeah, good for you for not backing down, man. Was I here on a day that Paul Pierce was going to be? I think David Sampson was grilling me about why would I not want to do a show with Paul Pierce? Why would I?
How about Paul George? Is he in that? Who's in the Pantheon?
I mean, Paul George isn't really
Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward was like hitting me on like multiple levels. I hated Charlie Ward so much because he cooked Miami as a quarterback at FSU.
Well, and
then
he pulled that dirty move on P.J. Brown. I mean, he absolutely tried to undercut him. He tried to hurt him. You know, there's no. I would tell that to his face if he was right here in this room. You tried to hurt P.J. Brown. All right?
Put it on the poll for Miami fans. Is there a special place in hell for Charlie Ward?
And certainly Larry Johnson. Don't like Larry Johnson. I'll never like Larry Johnson. He was purposely trying to elbow Zoe in the face while he was wearing a face guard. All right, he had a broken orbital.
That's a situation where the locker room wasn't okay with the player in there. Like Zoe and Larry Johnson hated each other,
right?
Famously, when they were both
Charlotte
Charlotte
there may
Hornets.
have been something going on, personally with the two of them when they were in Charlotte together.
I don't know. So if Zoe tells you can hate on Larry Johnson all you want, like you'll never find yourself getting out of your seat. I still boo Zoe.
Larry Johnson.
I still boo Zoe.
What do you mean? Boo Zoe?
Yeah, I will never let that go. You know what he did. He knows what he did.
What did he do?
Zoe's Summer Groove. Everybody knows.
He and Mackenzie Weegar both know what they did.
Well, Mackenzie Weegar
come on,
definitely knows
Mackenzie.
what he did. He definitely knows what he
Bad
did.
defense, man.
That was a terrible night.
So you had date night, which means you, I guess luckily, didn't watch any of the tournament games. The tournament games were kind of stinky.
Tournament was not good yesterday. It was not good. I watched almost the whole day. It was not good yesterday.
Last year we ran into this too, especially with the first 2 rounds. We kept waiting for those moments, and then we had to wait a little bit later.
No, but you do get them. Like it evens out. It's pretty likely you're going to get the madness today since you didn't get it yesterday.
We got madness yesterday. McNeese State beat Clemson. Will Wade is now leaving McNeese State.
Well, that's obviously
He's a Clemson guy.
Right,
that was a
wild.
fun story.
Well,
wasn't-
madness
that wasn't
buzzer
shocking.
beaters.
It wasn't
Madness is buzzer beaters.
Like
Okay.
McNeese, like they kicked their ass.
But but they came all the way back.
I know,
That part of it made it at least like down the
they
stretch.
put a little
there
bit
were,
of makeup on a pig there.
You're
they
right.
never had the ball with a chance to tie.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those final few minutes, you're looking at the clock and going,
It was getting interesting.
"Oh boy, they might
Yeah.
make it all the way back
Getting
here."
tight. I was happy as someone sitting on Clemson Live plus 12.5.
There you go.
But Stripes also kind of played a role in that too. Like they were letting them play there a little bit.
But there were no big shots. There were no buzzer beaters. That's the madness, all right? And because we didn't get it yesterday, I think we're going to have an overwhelming amount of madness today.
This sounds like a toasted bracket update. So, who'd you guys have in your brackets yesterday? Any big losses in your particular brackets?
I'm going to be so bad at helping you out here. This is the first year I haven't filled out a bracket.
Wow.
Good. I'll take the reins then.
Yeah, as
Drake was the easiest call of the entire bracket, the entire March Madness. Bennett Sturtz and them boys.
He's a good player.
Good player. And what is he?
He's got the secret sauce.
Thank you. Mike, when I said Bennett Sturtz, he was like, maybe, I don't know.
I'm like, that could only be secret sauce.
Secret sauce, right? So Drake upset Missouri.
I
That
wanted
was a
to
big
take
one.
Drake, but Taylor was so on Mizzou. Taylor out here like, everyone's taking Drake. I'm telling you, Mizzou's the play. SEC, I'm telling you, this
Dude,
year
2
SEC.
weeks ago, Taylor told me Missouri sucks. Whoever they play in the tournament, pick the opposite. And I was like, okay, perfect. Put that, compartmentalized it, moved over, saw Drake, saw Bennett Sturtz, and I was like, oh, we're good.
I mean,
He
how
also
happy was
hyped up,
Taylor yesterday with the SEC? I mean, Georgia's down 30-5.
Yeah, but he hyped up Louisville for everybody, and they got their asses kicked by Creighton.
It wasn't a great day for the
Creighton,
ACC.
another
weird.
secret sauce.
Yeah, but
Creighton.
I know you just did the dismissive, Jeremy. We do this every
Me?
month. I guarantee you there's going to be an ACC team in that Final Four. There always is. We're going to look at the lay of the land. The SEC teams will end up cannibalizing each other, and then we'll realize that the narrative is look, NC State made it, and they were crap last year. They made it to the Final Four as an ACC team. Miami was waving the banner. Speaking of Miami, I am locked in at 12:15. I will be watching my favorite Miami Hurricane men's basketball player of all time, Norchad Omier, as a slight underdog.
A Baylor, right?
Bears. Yeah.
That
I love that dude.
that toasted bracket update is sponsored by Jimmy John's. They're finally here and they're hot. Try the new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today.
So, Zaz, you mentioned you had date night. What'd you do?
Yeah, sometimes you got to take the old girl out. You got to let her know you care. And so I took her right across the street here. We went to MJ on Broadway, the Michael Jackson show that's at the Art Center.
How do you feel about that?
I thought it was fantastic. I feel good. Like, you asking me if like I have, I feel morally weird about it.
Well, it's complicated. I've long maintained, he kind of went at a good time.
He died at a good time.
He
is what
did,
you're
yeah.
saying.
I'm telling you,
You mean for him? Advantageous for him.
Yeah, look, in retrospect, good way to go out. Good time to go out. That was before a lot of stuff. Like, it was percolating again. People forget. Like, he was back in the headlines.
I guess it's kind of strange. Like they danced around it the entire show. Like the whole show is it's them putting together the Dangerous tour. And he's being interviewed by MTV throughout it. So you're going through like the timeline of his life leading up to the Dangerous tour, which was in the mid-90s. And they dance around that stuff where several times throughout the story it's, do you hear what they're saying about me in the media?
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was the line every time. Do you hear what they're saying about me in the media?
So that's the elephant in the room?
Yeah. They don't give any details. It's just they're saying things about me in the media.
Well, that's how you get it approved by the estate, right? That's how you got to go about things.
I loved it, though. The place was packed, man.
He's got incredible music.
Incredible music. Incredible.
Yeah, the way that I usually handle this, because if you try to, it's like whack-a-mole. If you try to die on a certain hill morally when it comes to music, you don't even know where half of your hypocrisies are, especially with legacy
acts. Is there
acts.
anyone more controversial than him?
I mean, I guess you could say Diddy now. Probably. I bet you Diddy's like, well, looking at Michael Jackson being like, he never had to deal with this. He dealt with some of this, but
he never had to deal with it, and
this.
it's obvious he never had to deal with it, right? And it's certainly not a contest, all right?
No,
but if
but
one
we
did
agreed,
the thing,
Diddy's
let's make
losing.
it one. Yeah,
Diddy's losing though.
Right. But the things that Michael Jackson was being accused of is like
it's
the most heinous shit.
Yeah,
but
but Diddy's also being accused of that too.
Oh, is that
yeah,
right?
no,
Yeah.
It's full scope for Diddy.
Yeah,
It's all over the place.
Trust me,
Okay.
He cast
Again, not
allegedly,
a competition. All right.
Allegedly, quite a wide pervy net he casted, but
yeah, I don't know. I never know how to feel about the Michael Jackson stuff. Like Michael Jackson comes on the radio, I'm like, oh, this song's amazing, turn it up, and then it's like, all right, I never know how to feel about
I don't request the songs. I don't play them on touch tunes. But if it's on, don't stop till you get enough. I still haven't gotten enough.
every song.
The
is
wide
just-
pervy net, the worst of all the nets.
Yes. Well, Brooklyn, pretty terrible. It hasn't worked out for that franchise since they moved, no doubt. But Pervy Net is worse than Brooklyn.
I don't know, man. That place was packed last night. I know they're doing a bunch of shows at the Arts Center there. It seems like people are into it, so I don't think I have to feel bad morally.
No, you don't. And I'm not here. I was just curious because the way that I govern it, I'm a huge Bowie guy. He's got some stuff. I'm a huge Prince guy. He's got some stuff. I think there is something to be said for like a sheer magnitude, like with Deshaun Watson. I was rooting on teams that had players that had some of that stuff surrounding them, like Kareem Hunt. When Kareem Hunt scored a touchdown, I was like, yay, go Browns. When they acquired Deshaun Watson, I was like, I'm
That's
out.
very tough.
There is like a sheer magnitude to it that is just unavoidable. But the way that I go about it is, I don't think I feel like listening to Diddy today. I don't think I feel like listening to Ryan Adams today. I still listen to Bowie, so I'm where my conflicts out here, and it's not a black and white issue. It's very difficult. Don't
matter if you're black or white.
But here, like Kanye, I don't feel like hearing a Kanye. And Kanye was one of my favorite artists of all
Why?
time.
What happened with Kanye?
I have so many Yeezys in my closet, and it's just like
He
I'm
dropped
like,
Bully, by the way, last
They're so
night.
comfortable too, Yeezys. Damn.
I love the way that the shoe looked in joggers, and I'm like, I think I just got to throw them out at this point. Remember, like he was starting, like he got
Wait,
that.
what size are you? Hold on. What size are you?
What size are you?
13?
What size are you? Adidas school, as you know. I gotta. I don't know why I'm waiting so long to. I'll probably donate them, have them go to a good cause. But I can imagine like someone's like, I can't do this. It's bad for my brand.
Maybe your local JCC.
The bad for the brand. But he's cooked. He's cooked. But if I hear Power, if like someone's coming up to bat and they use Power in the background, I'm like, interesting choice. But this will forever slap. I'll be clapping along. Like it's just tough. Like it's hard because of his mental illness and because of like how different he is now. I think it's almost easier to silo away like, oh, before he lost his mind, like College Dropout. I Miss the Old Kanye became a meme, and people have such a relationship with some of that older music that I get why it's hard for people to disassociate their love and what they felt in that era.
Graduation is one of the best albums of all time. And you're stuck there like, oh, he made Graduation, but then he does all that stuff, and you're like, what do we do?
His fingerprints were across like 25 years of hip-hop, not just as a rapper, but as when it comes to production. Where do you draw the line? Like, I'm going to stop listening to Jay-Z now. I'm going to stop listening to Kanye-produced tracks. Like,
I think you draw the line when they're like a super shitty person, which seems to be the case with Kanye. But But as opposed to even like Diddy's being accused of things, okay? You could assume it's true, whatever.
I mean, Osama bin Laden's attorney was like, I can't do this.
Osama.
But Kanye is like, they're not accusations. Like,
No, he's doing it to himself.
Right. It's right there.
Yeah, he's got a
you're watching him do it.
swastika medallion. He's selling swastikas.
It's happening. It's right there in front of us.
Yeah.
You know? So I think there's a major difference there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mike Schur handled this well in his book, How to Be Perfect, where he talked about sort of separating the art from the artist, and the way that he sort of drew the line ultimately after going through the different philosophical conversations was if you were a fan of someone, whether it was growing up or into adulthood or whatever, and then you learned these things about them, it's making the choice, all right, I'm not going to consume anything new.
That
so
sounds
I can
like
go
Michael
back,
Jackson.
right? And Michael Jackson is a good example of that. Where, hey, I listened to all of this music growing up. It was a part of my childhood. I associate it with these positive memories that I have, X, Y, Z, and so if they were to somehow find an unreleased album and then try to profit off of that,
Then
now,
I'm not supposed
no,
to
I'm
listen to
not
that?
gonna. Well. That would be the line. I'm following Schur's line there because it's been an easy, someone finally did this for me. I have direction as to how maybe I can morally justify one way or another. There are just Ryan Adams is actually a wonderful example, Mike, of like, there's some of that older music that, you know what? Damn good music. Maybe I want to go back and listen to it. It was you have whatever association with that artist, but now you know that these things have happened. Maybe you make the line of demarcation whenever those events happened. Maybe you make the line of demarcation once you've learned about it. It's really complicated. It's why the art versus artist conversation is one that no one's really been able to solve.
That's just people trying to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's
it's
all
only
of
the old
this,
stuff, I
right?
promise.
Well, no,
I won't
that's-
listen to anything new.
No,
That's the whole thing here.
I
is
think
trying
a lot
to
of
find
people.
that line.
I think a lot of people are having such a difficult time trying to think for themselves on this one that they welcome like someone doing the thinking for them. And look, the book's name in terms of sanctimony is called How to Be Perfect, where they try to work through all of these scenarios. And I didn't actually I've kind of pieced together because I've heard a lot of podcasts on this, and I kind of pieced together, for me, it's just, what do I feel like listening to? There will probably be a day where I want to listen to Ryan Adams. It hasn't quite happened.
Are you saying
yet.
Brian Adams or Ryan
I will always
Adams?
want to listen to Brian.
Yeah,
Okay, because I was like,
Summer
Summer 69
69
is a banger. I was like,
Come
what did he
on.
do? I haven't
Heaven.
seen anything about Brian Adams.
Heaven, that song that he did for
Just
Don Juan
making sure.
DeMarco.
Are you listening to morality podcasts? Is that what you were
No,
saying?
no. I'm
Oh,
listening
okay.
to music podcasts.
Oh,
that
gotcha,
go in
okay.
it. Also, the Ryan Adams thing, it's probably unfair to lump him in with all these other
What did
names.
Ryan-
Again,
oh,
sliding
okay,
scale.
I'll just-
sliding
I'll
scale.
just say,
Again,
what
not
did
Brian
Ryan
Adams.
do?
Well, Ryan Adams was, first and foremost, an asshole, and then accused of grooming, and there were think pieces written on him.
All right, we don't like that.
He used to be married to Mandy Moore, I think, and she had some not so nice things to say about him. But
Allegedly.
everyone kind of knew that Ryan Adams was a jerk. In fact, there's this great book on the early 2000s rock scene called Meet Me in the Bathroom. That whole early 2000s alt rock scene that was born out of New York. And it's kind of, and this was before Ryan Adams got canceled. And it's basically everyone, all these addicts just putting all their problems on Ryan Adams. He was the foil of the book. And I kind of felt bad for him there. It's okay, this is very clearly the Strokes narrative. They're not taking any ownership of their own actions. Ryan Adams is what the hell? I just opened a door and this guy was asking me for heroin. I guess it's my fault too, right? So I did kind of feel bad for him. And then all the other stuff came out. This is the most Ryan Adams talk.
Again,
that's ever
Summer
happened on a sports
69,
podcast.
we're good.
Good.
Just making sure.
I
That's
can't
Bryan
stop
Adams.
listening to that when it comes on.
That is Bryan Adams.
Bryan
A
Adams.
Different Adams, not related. One of them's a Canadian.
Brian had to be oh, come on, Ryan,
don't
me
even
and
think-
you,
I don't
we're in
think-
this together a little bit.
Bryan Adams has always mattered way more. Bryan Adams today mattered more than Ryan Adams on his best day.
If there
Couldn't matter.
if there was a Christian Cody out there, you gotta keep it clean, pal, because we're associated with each other. Okay, I can't have you out here grooming people.
There was a huge Slater scoop locally. People know what that means. But this one was shocking. Roy,
Whoa, what happened? What happened?
Did you see
Roy,
this?
there's
No,
no way
what
Roy
happened?
didn't see it.
I missed it. What happened?
WSVN.
Oh yes.
WSVN is going to become an ABC affiliate.
We haven't had an affiliate change in, 30 years when 4 became 6?
Yeah, remember they
that was
swapped.
there. I was there for
That
that.
was a big one.
That was the big one.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like a midnight swap.
That was more than 30 years ago. That was a big one.
That was
That's
a
like,
huge
what,
one.
94?
It was going on during SNL, and on midnight, like they switched.
Yep.
I believe FOR was.
FOR was Channel 6,
Yeah.
and TVJ was Channel 4.
Yeah, and they switched places.
Yep.
It was a big deal. But locally in this market, the FOR, the CBS affiliate, and the NBC affiliate are O&Os, owned and operated by the network. So those will never flip unless there's a sale of some sort. So this leaves PLG in a precarious situation. You would assume that.
Well, it's a situation that they chose, by the way.
Well, yeah, they got outbid, which is crazy because Sunbeam, I think Sunbeam.
Well, no, they're saying that they chose, like, hey, this is too much money, we're not interested.
So what is PLG going to do?
I don't know.
Because right now, SVN is going to be both Fox and ABC.
That's what's really
So
wild.
the way that I understand, okay, so this is confusing though, right? For people who we want to watch sports, all right. ABC is Monday Night Football and NBA on ESPN on
Hoops,
ABC.
yep.
You know, there's stuff that we want to watch.
The Oscars.
And so over the air, it's going to be on like the auxiliary channel, 7.2.
That's right.
All right, when you're watching over the air, but
It's like 104.3 HD2.
yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it's like.
Locally, there's like 2 CWs now.
That's exactly what it's like. But here's the thing. I don't know about you guys. I don't watch over the air, all right? Like I have streaming. And so I'm confused as to how I'm going to get ABC on my streaming subscription.
This is a huge problem when it comes to the local channels and streaming.
But let me put everyone at ease. We will still have Will Manso.
Oh, thank God.
Actually, can someone text Will Manso? Because I have
can.
questions about what this means for us locally.
I just saw a post, and I didn't read all of it, but I just saw somewhere in there, I'm sticking around.
They'll still have local programming and local
Well,
news.
so are they just going to come up with they're going to produce their own local shows?
They're going to be like Whammy on Miami. For those, like, I know I'm dating myself with that, but Whammy was trying to sprout out in the network game as an independent, get all these talk shows that were available for syndication. Neil Rogers had his show simulcast on Whammy on Miami, and they actually had local sports rights too. They had the Marlins and they had the Miami
Whammy
Heat.
had the Heat road games. Because back then, home games and road games were different channels for our local teams. And ESPN's Mark Jones was the sideline reporter for the Heat on Whammy.
Sports Sound.
Jonesy.
Do you remember Sports Sound?
Absolutely.
Yeah, during the NBA lockout, they had to chain up the basketball court that was behind them. I loved Whammy on Miami, Whammy Kids. That's where you got your Fox afternoon cartoons on the weekdays.
What am I asking, Will?
What is going to become of WPLG? Like, what's the move here? What, from a programming standpoint, what's on prime time on PLG? Are they gonna make a play for local sports? You probably can't say that, and he's probably got some conflicts.
that
there,
part
but
is interesting, right? Like,
they could be a player locally,
right? Does WPLG decide that their money is more worth it to try to do something similar to what's happened with the Panthers here?
Yeah,
right?
they probably wish this happened a year ago.
right.
Yeah, no doubt. They would have been a player on
For sure.
on the Panthers. But I'm just curious at the decision for WPLG, a legacy channel, a channel that matters down here, to make the decision we're not going to be affiliated with a network anymore. And it's a pretty big network. ABC, they got a lot of big stuff.
ABC, good channel.
ABC, good channel. ESPN's getting a Super Bowl, which will be simulcast on network ABC. That is a decision that PLG made.
WPLG, I'm just going to read based off of what their article says on their website about these negotiations. So
We get some good spin. Let's hear it.
this is what they have to say, is that after months of negotiations between the Berkshire Hathaway-owned television station and the network, the two parties could not reach an agreement to extend the affiliation agreement, and as a result, ABC will pull its programming effective August 1st. Quote, "We made a generous offer to ABC, but it became clear the two sides were not going to agree on a new deal." This is according to WPLG's CEO and president, Bert Medina. Quote, "Broadcast television stations across the country have announced massive layoffs in recent years. WPLG is proud that we've not had layoffs, but it became clear that if we accepted the deal ABC was proposing, we too would have been forced to lay off employees in order to pay the hefty price the network was demanding." And they went on to basically say that at this point, the network TV model in association with local TV isn't quite as beneficial as it used to be, because you can stream so many of these programs on streaming services. So the benefit used to be, people have to watch us on ABC to watch, say, the NBA Finals or things like that. But now that there are all of these sort of alternate channels that you can get through streaming, they're saying that the benefit is no longer there.
Yo, just tell me how I can watch my shows.
Super confusing.
Well,
I feel like if you're not in the industry, you're just like, what are you guys talking about?
yeah, I know that this show has national appeal. This is like more locally geared. We have a local icon here, a local luminary in Jonathan Zaslow, and I'm curious,
Andrew.
like, what the I am curious at what the strategy is for PLG going forward. Do they lean hyper local? Do they? Because there's still a place people channel surf and watch conventional networks.
Dude,
like,
you put on a fishing show and somebody will watch it.
Are they just
The
gonna have
fishing report,
shows?
South Florida Fishing Report, if you get them on PLG, everybody's going to watch.
Do they just go? Do they still have Jeopardy?
It says they're going to have, quote, a massive expansion in local news and other local programming.
That'd be the wise move.
They're claiming that the money that they would have been spending on paying ABC to be their affiliate, they're going to invest locally on new programming and things. Should we?
We should be on PLG.
I was just going to say,
PLG?
Jazz, why don't we put together a little show?
Should
all
we
of a
be
sudden
there?
the boys are on PLG
Sports
talking
band?
sports?
Yeah, I'm with it, man. I mean,
I'm being told they're keeping Jeopardy.
All right.
By the way.
Good job.
Sources.
Good job. Wait a second. Can we be on PLG?
think
Let's
we
just
can.
lean hard local because I'm more inclined to watch PLG if they're like, hey, we ditched a network. We're here for you. I'm turning away from the Newsplex.
if somebody wants to talk over there, you look at this face. You put me on WPLG. That's bad news for all other networks.
Look at that punum. It's a beautiful punum.
People are watching women's sports. With sports writer Kate Fagan.
Dan, where to start here? I mean, I will surprise some people by saying that I went into the game rooting for LSU. Maybe Moki on the side, but falling in love with the joy with which this LSU team played. I mean, it was just unbridled enthusiasm that they were caught in this moment. Even Carson, 21 points in the first half, banking in that 3 at the end. I was texting Jess throughout the game. I was actually kind of teary-eyed at the way that they were just living inside that moment. You don't see that often. There's a lot of other places we can go though about like why I was rooting for LSU and
but teary-eyed.
Seriously, because you just like the more we do off the looking glass, the more I pay attention to the history of the game. There has been this disconnect and between like we tell the story on off the looking glass about Cheryl Miller playing for Pat Summitt in 1984 and Pat Summitt really struggling with Cheryl Miller in the opening days of that relationship because Cheryl Miller played with the similar unbridled enthusiasm, doing cartwheels after beating Pat Summitt's Tennessee team when she was playing for Southern California, and Pat Summitt taking objection to that because she was that kind of farm girl from Tennessee who had the stoicism. And then you fast forward, whatever we are, 40 years to this final, and you're seeing a similar thing play out. You have an LSU team that is playing with this kind of black joy, and then you have
Who is Le MVP? Michael Malone of the Nuggets made this point earlier this week.
My thing is this, if you didn't know that Nikola won 3 MVPs, and I put player A and player B on paper, and you had no idea that the guy who's averaging a triple-double, the guy who's top 3 in the 3 major statistical categories, things that no one's ever done, he wins the MVP 10 times out of 10. And if you don't think so, I think you guys are all full of shit.
So let's indulge Coach Malone.
Let's see how full of shit we are.
Yeah, and let's put up the head-to-heads, the blind head-to-heads. I wonder who's who.
Oh, I'm player B. No, look, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like you've got Nicola out there with 29, 13, and 10, and even the percentages. Like,
yeah,
show me the writer. Show me the one standout who's going to. Is it Shaq? Show me the one NBA coverage person who was going to say, "Oh, player A clearly because of the point."
Okay, so let me say this. It's a little disingenuous. He's right to a point that yes, there's a thing called voter fatigue, where we just got tired of giving Michael Jordan MVP, so we gave one to Karl Malone and one to Tim Duncan, whatever, right?
Should have been Alonzo.
And we got tired of giving LeBron MVPs, so we gave one to Derrick Rose and one to whoever, right?
Huge mistake.
So like that's a real thing. However, if he were saying blind resumes, the thing that's missing on this blind resume is one guy has the number one seed in the league, definitely in the conference, right? And one guy doesn't. One guy's team beats all the best teams. And one guy's team is 3-10 against the top 6 teams. So it's like, that's an element of the blind resume that he's not factoring in, because ultimately, Izzy, to me, this is an argument born out of what MVP means.
Correct.
The league does not define what most valuable player is. It says, when you ask them, they say, what does it mean to you? And so people take it one of two ways. Either the guy who is clearly having a great statistical season, like Jokic is, or the guy who is most responsible for the success of one of the most successful, if not the most successful team in the league, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's no statistical argument that's going to make Shai look better than Jokic. That's, look, like Coach said, it's never happened. We're talking about things that Wilt never did, right? But at the same time, there's no success argument that Jokic can have, not just because they don't have as many wins or even close to as many wins as Oklahoma, but again, because of their failures against the other great teams in the league this year.
Well, so my issue there is how many statistics, if you want to just throw the stats onto that, how is that going to boost SGA statistics, the 10 wins? Because I look at the 10-win difference. I look at him, the Nuggets being 3-10 against the best teams and saying, okay, they've won 3. They're working through an injury probably plagued season with Aaron Gordon being out a lot. Murray hasn't really been injured, but has been inconsistent somewhat. And yet, with these insane numbers, best we've seen in forever, he is still keeping his team not just afloat, but what we call it top 4 in the Western Conference, which is a difficult place to be. So how do you measure that versus SGA? Because normally I would say, if he was in a different conference and sitting in the 8th seed, and be like, oh yeah, that guy's not getting my votes. But they're close enough to where I think it's clear which one is doing more of the heavy lifting.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you there. Hey, did you like what you just saw?
Well, you can get a lot more of that. Me and Amin on Oddball, Monday through Thursdays on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
See you there.
There is a first and last time for everything. For the first time ever, we've got former Miami Commissioner Ken Russell, who is now the first prominent candidate to formally enter the 2025 Miami mayor's race, in the studio, because Miami.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
So there was a story that I was actually pretty fired up about yesterday. It was like the topic du jour, and we didn't actually get around to it.
I was stunned.
I can't believe it. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, and Dan didn't want to talk about the Jackie Robinson story.
It was on a T form.
This one's easy, folks.
If you asked AI over the last 15 years to take everything Dan has passionately spoken about on these airwaves and create a story that was born for him to speak about.
Did he just not get to it, or?
I have no idea
what
was
the hallmark of a good show? Hallmark of a good show. I have good things that I needed to get to, and he didn't get to a Jackie Robinson race and sports story,
we got
and
to Ryan
politics
Blaney.
story that, well, Blaney was great.
Was good. I really enjoyed that interview.
While this is an easy topic for Dan and the rare winning position where the intersection of sports and politics meet, Ryan Blaney was great. He was terrific.
Yeah, I don't even care about NASCAR. I thought he was interesting.
He was. But, Jeremy, for the uninitiated, bring them up to speed on this Jackie Robinson story. And there are also friends of the show that got entangled in this, and I'd like to chew on that a little bit as well.
There are so many moving pieces to this over the last 48 hours, but essentially there was a story on a government website where Jackie Robinson was celebrated for his military service. Similar to a whole bunch of other military heroes that were celebrated here. And that story was removed from the government website. And when you went to go click on the link to get to that story celebrating Jackie Robinson, the link had been changed to include the words DEI, or rather the term DEI, ahead of sports in the link. So initially there was a backslash and then sports dash, all these different things for Jackie Robinson. The link was actively changed and led you to a page not found. Jeff Passan was the one who first put this out there.
He was very mad.
He was rightfully furious about this. Jackie Robinson's history being removed from a government website as a result of stomping out diversity, equity, and inclusion seems like one of the worst things that we could do in the storytelling of our nation's history. And what was really wild is that the statements that Passan received, and I can pull those up in just a second, basically doubled down on what it was that had happened, not, acknowledging maybe there was a mistake, maybe there was this. Several hours later, of course, the article was restored because that's what happens. These people try to do everything, and if you don't catch them, they'll just keep doing it. So it's up to journalists like Jeff Passan to catch people in the act and force their hand. And so now the article is back, but only after these statements said things like, we don't see color, essentially, when it comes to Jackie Robinson, the man who broke the color barrier.
But why was it considered DEI, Jackie Robinson?
Because he's black.
He's black. But he was. Yeah. It's not a hire. He was drafted.
Well, no. So this part is interesting too, right? Because
they mean black.
Well, right.
Yeah,
because DEI hire all of a sudden has been co-opted into being something that's negative.
A buzzword
the way that woke was.
Yes.
Yeah, the way that critical race theory was before that.
They kind of changed up the acronym on that now. In the press release that the Department of Defense, they said discriminatory equity ideology.
Oh,
it's remarkable.
That's incredible.
It's remarkable because
so they're saying on it that the reason that it was there originally was because he's black, not that he was hired. Because the term that Roy is saying there that they're using, that's why it was on the page, right?
Because this discriminated against whom? Jackie Robinson or
white people?
That's where it kind of
they're
feels
trying
like
to say it's only included there, but we're only making note of this accomplishment because he's black. That's what they're saying.
Well, I mean, with Jackie Robinson, yes, right?
He broke the color barrier.
Yeah, that was
that's
he was a great player, but also he was the first to break the color barrier because he was a great player, but that was a big deal. Huge deal.
I'm gonna read
kind of his thing.
The statements here for you guys, and I apologize for the fact that these are somewhat wordy and
will it be less confusing than the PLG statement.
Probably.
Okay.
So Jeff Passan reached out about the removal of the story from the Department of Defense website, and this was the statement he received back. As Secretary Hegseth has said, DEI is dead at the Defense Department. Discriminatory equity ideology is a form of woke cultural Marxism that has no place in our military. It divides the force, erodes unit cohesion, and interferes with the service's core warfighting mission. We are pleased by the rapid compliance across the department with the directive removing DEI content from all platforms. In the rare cases that content is removed, either deliberately or by mistake, that is out of the clearly outlined scope of the directive, we instruct the components and they correct the content accordingly. But there was a follow-up statement just a couple of hours later, because that one was obviously dumb. Stupid. Everyone at the Defense Department loves Jackie Robinson, as well as the Navajo code talkers.
Some of my best friends
Airmen.
are Jackie Robinson.
The Marines.
I went to a Jackie Robinson wedding once.
the Marines at Iwo Jima. and so many others. We salute them for their strong and in many cases heroic service to our country, full stop. We do not view or highlight them through the prism of immutable characteristics such as race, ethnicity, or sex. We do so only by recognizing their patriotism and dedication to the warfighting mission, like every other American who has worn the uniform. DEI, discriminatory equity ideology, does the opposite. It divides the force, erodes unit cohesion, and interferes with the service's core warfighting mission. Blah, 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 blah.
I'd be curious if there was like a Ted Williams story that remained up.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, I guess I understand what they're trying to say there, but I think it's interesting hearing about famous people who served in wars.
It's like a huge part of their marketing campaign is we used to have to draft people. I know that there were wars going around, but historically, not easy to recruit there.
Yeah. Arguing that race, that Jackie Robinson's story shouldn't be viewed through the prism of race is so insulting to not only Jackie Robinson and his memory, but all of the people who came before him and after him, not only in the military, but in baseball. Like in sports, this is truly, truly, utterly offensive.
It's almost like they forgot why he got court-martialed in the first place. He was on an Army bus. As a commissioned officer, by the way, a second lieutenant, he was told to go to the back of the bus. And he got court-martialed for not doing that.
I know Zaz says I get what they're trying to say there, and I guess I kind of too, like the spin on it, right? But to ignore race is to ignore a pretty big connection point. Your job is to recruit, like ultimately all these branches of the military are actively trying to recruit people to join. And race is a connection point for a lot of people. Jackie Robinson's story might resonate with people that you're actively trying to recruit. They may be black, they may be Latino, they may be white, but it is a story that resonates in part because he was a dude that broke the color barrier. To ignore that fact works against your best interest if you're actively trying to recruit people.
You know who it doesn't resonate with? Robert Griffin III. Because he went on Twitter last night
What'd
and
he
said,
say?
He said that you need to separate politics from sports. And you shouldn't talk politics on sports shows.
Well,
that's what we're doing right now.
That's awfully convenient.
Oh, that's because you had people on television yesterday who were talking about it, right? Okay.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
So Stephen A. Smith did like a 6-minute thing on this on First Take. You can have your opinions on that, but that didn't really get aggregated all that much. But Dove Kleiman is calling for Mina Kimes to get fired because she did like the easiest take on this with her around the horn victory time, her FaceTime there. It was weird. They went at Mina. And I understand why they go at Mina. They have algorithms for this stuff. They know who does numbers. But they ignore the dude that apparently can talk about, well, not apparently, negotiated in his contract. He can talk about politics with full autonomy over there.
Is it possible that's why they didn't,
No, it's not. Because they go at Mina because Mina does numbers. It's like if you check Breitbart, they still post about Megan Rapinoe occasionally because they know what gets traction over there. Mina Kimes does numbers, invoking her name and calling this amorphous account because it's not a real person anymore, but they can't actually say it's not a real person anymore because that goes against Twitter's rules because a guy can't just sell his account. So you have this bot essentially that has a whole bunch of different people working on it.
An aggregator essentially.
Yeah, doing the cute calling. Should Mina Kimes be fired? ? As some people are saying this, and it's overly ridiculous and it's totally unfair. And I hope that people dunk on Dove the way that Mina did. But to the Robert Griffin III point is, this is a sports story. Jackie Robinson's like one of the first names that comes to mind when you want to talk about sports. Yeah. Jackie Robinson did sports. He did nothing yesterday. Like his legacy was just existing.
Anything that involves Jackie Robinson is sports.
It's sports.
Anything.
Literally the most important athlete in the history of sports.
It's really amazing. And the fact that he broke the color barrier, and you want to insinuate that, in turn, color has nothing to do with his story. Like, look, Jackie Robinson was one of the greatest second basemen of all time. That's not why number 42 is retired. No. Number 42 is retired because of what he had to go through, the racial epithets being hurled at him throughout his entire rise into being a big leaguer. And then, by the way, he is one of the greatest players of all time. So those who want to derisively call him a DEI hire, as if, by the way, that's a bad thing, and as if he was only included because he was black, you just flatly don't know ball. You people want to side with these dorks that don't know ball? These nerds that don't know ball, that don't know anything about the history of our game, our American pastime? You want to be racist and not know ball? I just can't believe it. I really can't. This is one of the most wild stories. And like continuing to try to shape this narrative that DEI is a bad thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Well, that's not what that means anymore. They changed it.
But we all understand,
Ideology.
right? All of these American individualists, what this means, right? Diversity. What's the opposite of that?
Wait, Jeremy, I feel as passionately about this as you do, but I do want to try to keep it to sports a little bit in that sports was just doing sports.
Right.
Sports was, in this instance, just minding its own business. It's just minding its own business, and sports realized, hey, there's sports that's being removed. Why is sports being removed? Politics comes over and grabs sports, and it's not the other way around. And trust me, it's hugely frustrating because the same people that tout that line, and I don't know if Robert Griffin III has expressed this before, but I'm watching the Daytona 500, and I'm seeing Donald Trump fly in and take several laps around the Daytona Motor Speedway, and I can't exactly keep politics out of sports there, can I?
I mean, remember, he did call NFL players sons of bitches for kneeling.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where politics gravitate to sports to lift it up. Look, Donald Trump essentially one of the big issues that Donald Trump campaigned on and was successful on and found general consensus even across the aisle was that trans swimmer, that's bad. We can't have guys playing in girls sports. Like, this is the line. And while that is crude, there is general consensus on this topic, even amongst liberals. And it is a winning position. So they come to sports all the time to grab their winning positions. All the time. Sports has actively been trying to stay out of politics. Hell, even this show has, kind of. Like, we know that you don't like it. So sports is sportsin'. When politics comes over and grabs sports, sports has a right to clap back, especially on something like this, which is so easy.
I mean, if it was an actor or a musician, black actor, black musician who they removed from those pages, like Mina Kimes wasn't going to be using her FaceTime on Around the Horn for it. It's because it's Jackie Robinson, and Jackie Robinson is sports. Like I said, and in any place where Jackie Robinson is mentioned, that's sports.
I saw someone tweet that the fact that at this present time, Mina could go on the air and basically say, like, hey, Jackie Robinson's historical significance tied to his race, and that would make her a punching bag for the right-wing media just shows where we've gone generally in this country. Like, it's pretty amazing that just saying that out loud could turn you into some sort of symbol of quote-unquote cultural woke Marxism.
And also, there are people that are still defending its removal because they've just decided to commit to the party line when the party itself has come out and said, my bad. Like, we got that one wrong. It might have even been a mistake.
It's kind of surprising that they did that, though, no?
No, it's not.
This is what they do, man.
Look, there have been lives. I was at a town hall last week, and there was a marine biologist for NOAA that got fired, and her supervisor didn't know about it. She got a crude letter, and it wasn't even signed, did not know who fired her, went to the superior. This is a worker that had hit all her marks, even attained a bonus because she was so superlative at her job. Her supervisor didn't know about this. I believe there was another scientist that worked on hurricanes that had actually gotten fired in a similar fashion, then rehired, and then a day later fired again. All of this is messy. It's like they're literally typing in. They're taking inventory of what could be lumped into DEI, and that is about as crude as it can get. Jackie Robinson, black guy, DEI. And they're just typing that in and eliminating things. And they're doing this with people's lives and jobs. Mm-hmm. And they're just typing in these things into a big machine and just crudely cutting things out. And people like Jeff Passan and all these other journalists need to keep catching these things, especially things like
It's a good day for journalism yesterday.
It was. It was a good day for
Very
sports.
rare.
It was a good day.
It was a good day for sports, and this was something I think everybody can kind of get behind. Jackie Robinson, to quote the great Jonathan Zaslow, awesome. Awesome. This one's easy. They admitted hours later they got it wrong. Why is this a hill to die on still?
Because when you're involved in something that feels cultish, there's no admitting that you're wrong, even when there's admission that you're wrong. I mean, the general defense was like, oh, well, they're probably running all of this through an algorithm, and the algorithm made a mistake. Well, then what's your algorithm trying to do if it's removing Jackie Robinson from the Secretary of Defense's website, from the Department of Defense? It's just really shocking to me that people are digging in their heels on this one, and it just feels like a pretty winning position on the other side to go, hey, Jackie Robinson rocks, man.
You don't have to dig your heels on this one. Everyone admits, like, this was a mistake. We can all move on. You don't need to have a think piece as to why we're right, and you certainly don't have to say sports stay in your lane here when they were. They absolutely were. And if it wasn't for sports, they would have gotten away with this heinous thing. So thank you, sports.
This is the thing, right, with sports. I mean, you just brought up trans athletes, right? And this is why I thought Pablo's episode that he did on trans athletes a few months ago was one of the most important things we've done at Meadowlark Media, because oftentimes what this administration is doing is using sports as a vehicle to point something out, right? Take it as a minor thing. Oh, we don't want quote unquote men playing in women's sports. And you make the trans community this divisive community that you attack, that you bring to everyone's mind, hey, there's this bad thing and we need to stomp it out. And now you can see those same people who initially said this is just about sports, literally calling to remove trans people from society, period, end of discussion, get rid of them. If you're going to start here with this conversation on Jackie Robinson and the history of race in this country, it's the same slippery slope, and they're doing it on purpose.
Division is good. This is an easy place to cause division, and it's not often that that administration has an overwhelmingly popular position, and the sentiment in this country aligns itself more with that view than what is projected onto Democrats, which may not even be accurate. Like I said, within the Democratic Party, there's general consensus and an alignment there. But it's just an easy winning position, and Dems probably have to find a different talking point on it. We move on to something of, I guess, not equal importance, but pretty seismic nonetheless. John Cena's heel turn.
Oh!
Now, John Cena, for many of you know about this. It's basically there was everything before John Cena's heel turn and then everything that happened since. One thing that I can't wrap my brain around, Zaz, is what's in it for Travis Scott?
I'm very down on this Travis Scott. By the way, can I also tell you, not only have I been to a Travis Scott concert, but I was on the railing, on the floor, at a Travis Scott concert.
Look at me, Louie.
How is that look at me, Louie, if I say that I was at a concert? I didn't say I had lunch with him anyway.
That is surprising. You were there with your son?
I was there with my son. Well,
you should have said, no, I was there by myself. I love Travis Scott.
I don't know anything
I ride the
about,
railing at Travis Scott
I don't
concerts.
know anything about Travis Scott. My son was there with a few of his friends. I was hanging underneath in the Doers Lounge, and I thought the show was almost over, so I went out so I can kind of meet up with my son, and I have the all-access pass, and I'm just kind of waiting on the rail, which, by the way, no one else is on the floor. I'm like the only one on the floor, so everyone saw me. I'm on the rail at the Travis Scott show.
Did you have a good time?
And I was there. I was on the rail for like 30 minutes. The show just wouldn't end. It was really strange. No, I didn't have a good time. It was weird, man. I don't get it.
He's got a great energy. He's a good live performer. He's kind of
oh my god, I've never seen a crowd like the one at that show.
It's like the new rock show. It's like the new mosh pit.
All the way up top in the rafters, jumping up and
losing
down.
their minds.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
In terms of like being able to control an audience and command an audience, for better or worse, given Travis Scott's history, sometimes it gets away from him. But being able to put fans in a total uproar and get them to lose their minds, Travis Scott can command an audience. And I know that it's loaded given his history, but I don't know why he would punch Cody Rhodes in the face.
Yeah, that's why I'm down on him. He punched him right in the side of the head. I don't like that.
He couldn't even block it. He couldn't defend himself. Cheap shot that seemed to do some real damage.
Yeah, he had a busted eardrum apparently, and he showed up to work 2 days later, Cody, and he had a busted up eye. I'm very down on Travis Scott.
Poor Cody. But then John Cena disappears for a couple of weeks, and we don't have any answers for his actions. All we have are questions. So John Cena finally appears. And by the way, great idea to have this build-up for WrestleMania really kick off in earnest in Europe. European crowds are the absolute best. They are so good at these wrestling events. And
I don't want our big sporting events overseas. I don't like that. I want all big WWE shows overseas. If I can't be at the show, I want it to be overseas.
Well, they're just so used to
They're
song
incredible.
because of soccer.
Yeah, it's very soccer.
Yes, because like their sporting culture is so great. Where here it's just like, let's go Cena. Defense. Maybe the occasional everybody clap your hands. But
You're saying bangers right now. What's wrong with what you're saying?
And look, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but I do like what Europe does with it, where they sing like popular songs, and they make soccer chants into wrestling chants. Like it's a great thing. We should encourage that here in the States. But it's really good for WWE too, because it helps establish clear narratives. And the fans watching at home are going to take their note from the fans over there in the audience.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Cody Rhodes is actually still over as a babyface. This rare white bread babyface.
It's a perfect crowd, man.
It was great. So John Cena comes out, and I didn't like certain aspects of this, but it caught me so off guard, Zaz, because I didn't expect this to be the direction. I didn't expect him to come out in the same like Fruity Pebbles t-shirts.
Right, me neither.
I thought he was going to do something to his look. I thought he was going to. I mean, his face changed when he got the signal from The Rock. So
but the explanation worked, though, as to why he's keeping the same look, the same colors, the same music.
I think it's because they printed a lot of T-shirts, and they probably decided on this heel turn a little late in the game, but whatever. Like, that's fine. But there's logic here. They can reverse engineer. It was just totally expected that, like, okay, we're going to make John Cena the chicken shit heel. Okay, that's not exactly, but it makes sense with the long-term storytelling because John Cena hasn't been able to win a match on his own, head-to-head. So he resorts to some of the evil. But I didn't like that he didn't mention The Rock. I didn't like that he didn't mention Travis Scott.
He's going to be on TV again this Monday and the Monday after that. I mean, let it play itself out over a few weeks.
I'm willing to go with this. I think that I was really surprised.
This past week was about, I got a problem with the fans.
Yeah.
So
and
maybe
then
next week,
Cody alphaed him.
Yeah, and so maybe next week will be, all right, this is why I now love The Rock.
This was refreshing in that Cody has kind of been built up by all of his, going up against The Rock, going up against Roman Reigns. He's always been, every Raw leading up to WrestleMania was Cody Rhodes getting his ass kicked. There wasn't time for Cody Rhodes really in any of these programs. Like, he's worked some good matches, good programs with Kevin Owens and AJ Styles where he's gotten to be a tough guy. But I really like the dynamic, which is like Cody Rhodes, I've headlined WrestleMania, like, you lose all the time. If this is the guy that I'm facing, I'm going to kill you.
And then he called him a whiny bitch, which everybody's going to think is cool. If you call someone a whiny bitch in wrestling, you're the much cooler guy.
They go to that well occasionally with Cody Rhodes when they really want to hammer home a point. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I want the storytelling to evolve. But I was so caught off guard by him coming out with his traditional look and by the logic to his turn and not invoking The Rock that I was like, okay, I'm kind of in on this because I'm surprised by it. And it's not often that wrestling surprises people, and it's done so with this.
The part that's also interesting to me is, and there's a meme out there now with the kid who
was that a plant?
No way was that a plant.
He had the sticker still on the shirt.
No way.
It looked like a plant.
What's the matter with you? And you got the kid who was shook.
They had the camera locked in when he goes like, and this kid, like they talked about that one.
Well, they may have told him, hey, there's a kid sitting right over here. He's wearing your gear. Maybe that's the kid you point out. We'll be ready for it.
He's got great seats.
Yeah,
Plant.
And so you got this meme now, this kid who is shook. And I'm just thinking, man, because wrestling wasn't like that when I was a kid, where I'm a huge Hulk Hogan fan growing up, the age that kid was in the crowd. And if my hero is now telling me as a kid to go F myself, I that's wild to me that kids are probably so sad at what's going on there on my television that I'm super entertained by.
The logic behind a dude that has just been beaten down by social media and fans, like I can't do right, and after 20 years, like it's finally gotten to me, it actually tracks. And a lot of it's actually happening in pop culture, too. We're seeing like Drake fatigue, and he's kind of had a bit of a heel turn. Certainly happening in hip hop a lot with some of the other names that we've referenced there for way different reasons. But it does kind of tap into what's going on with pop culture. The guys that were celebrated are now vilified through a lot of their own, in some cases, heinous actions. But it's cool to see art kind of imitate life a little bit here. And I'm very curious to see where this one goes. I'm excited. This is fresh. And it's not often that WWE feels fresh. Look, there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, someone gets low blowed. There's only so many things that you can do in the world of wrestling. Turning John Cena heel, we have seen it before in his earlier days, but not as as a megastar, as the face of a generation of wrestling. So I'm really curious to see where this one goes, and I'm super hyped for WrestleMania season. Are you going out there?
I am not going out there.
That's a shame. This one's in Vegas.
I know. I'm not going out there.
Hang out with all wrestling fans.
It's a little bit super too far. I mean, it's a very long flight. You know, it's 2 nights. It's even. I mean, these ticket prices. It's the Super Bowl.
West Coast WrestleManias, by the way, are the best.
They start early in the day.
Yeah, they start. Yeah, so you're done. The worst part about leaving
show
Philadelphia,
ends like 8:30.
It takes you an hour to leave the stadium. We're like, all right, boys, what are we going to be doing now? It's 1 a.m. It's hard to catch a vibe there. West Coast WrestleMania.
Yeah, let's go out to dinner.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm not going. I'm not going this year. I'm sorry.
Tony, you're looking a little rough around the edges lately. Is this a new look? Are you pivoting?
I've got a bit of an issue, Mike, and I think I need the boys to help me out.
Is this your Justin Timberlake Man in the Woods era?
It's called
Like
having a newborn. That's what it is.
Well, no, but I'm very usual. I'm very regular with my haircut, right? Like every week and a half, I get my fade with a 2 up top and
very clean.
I cruise, right?
Always.
My issue is that my barber's out of commission for the next couple weeks until essentially another 13 days.
You got to cheat on your barber.
So I got to cheat on my barber, but I don't want to. Zaz, I know obviously it's been a while since you've cheated on a barber, but
wow.
More importantly, what do you think about cheating on a barber where I've been going to this guy for 13 years,
how
14
often do
years?
You go?
You got every 10 days?
I go every 10 days as well.
Yeah.
Every 10 days. That's like the rule.
Every 10 days.
Jeremy,
it's
how
close
often
to my house.
you're like a 2 weeks guy?
I'm a 2 weeks guy. You nailed it.
Yeah.
2 weeks, 3 weeks if I'm really pushing it because I know I have a TV appearance coming up and I want to get it a little closer to that.
Chris,
TV
I think you're
appearance.
like a 3 weeks guy.
Oh, I'm more than that. I'd say a month.
Yeah. When I had the good hair, I would wait.
Neck hair is a giveaway.
I'm at least a month. You know, every 10 days. That's.
Sometimes I'll even push it to a month and a half, and I'll have my wife clean up my neck, the back of it.
Smart.
Petty
Can't
play.
do that. No,
Yeah.
Petty play, but you got to go every 10
I do it all
days.
myself.
You don't say.
Yeah.
I would have never been able to tell that.
Yep. Big boy.
Roy also does that.
That's right.
Yeah, Roy cuts his own hair.
Yeah, haircuts apparently are $50 now.
Dude, they're
crazy.
expensive.
Oh, so expensive.
I just switched barbers, something closer to my house, and you can't find one nowadays.
Do you
for
get the
under
shave?
$40. Yeah, the full kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
With the big blade?
Yeah.
Are you ever worried?
Right, I guess if I just got a
got a lot
haircut,
of
it might
veins
be
over here, dog.
Oh no, I mean right now I haven't. It's not clean at the moment. I didn't go yesterday, but yes, when I do get a haircut, I get the.
But
beard
you don't get
cleaned up.
nervous?
Nah, I trust them.
They're professionals, Zaz.
Yeah.
All right. So
I like that part.
I got to
It's
tell
nice.
you, I read about sharks attacking people all the time. One thing I haven't read about in a very long time is, oops, barber accidentally killed somebody.
It was Sweeney Todd.
That was the last guy, right? The
Brian
demon
Adams
barber,
was in the name.
the
in the
demon
band.
barber of Fleet Street was the last person and he was intentionally doing it.
Right.
The accidental throat slash.
Never heard the
during the
accidental.
shave. That's something that.
Not on
and I'd
PLG.
be on that algo.
But by your math, we're kind of due, no?
That's a good point.
We're probably doing a place that we wouldn't hear about it. Maybe somewhere across the world it's happening, but
Europe?
here back in wherever.
The world's a big
you
place.
Pick wherever
A
you
lot
want.
of bad barbers out there.
Could be
Spain.
a lot
We're
of
in
bad barbers
America.
everywhere.
Portugal.
Who knows? But the issue is I'm already grandfathered in with a price from 15 years ago.
Oh,
Really?
No. We've done this on
That's-
Mystery Crate.
So how much do your
We've
haircuts cost?
we've
I'm not gonna
shamed
talk about
Tony
Oh,
for.
you shamed me for
much-
being loyal to a guy for 15
It's
years?
like one of his it's a good buddy of his, and he's still giving him $15 for a
That's not
haircut.
true.
This guy's losing money
I don't
off
understand.
of Tony.
It's not
You're asking if you should go and cheat on your barber. Does your barber think that when he goes on vacation, you're just not allowed to get a haircut?
That's what I'm saying. We
I mean,
talked
he's on
about it.
vacation.
I know. We talked about it too. He's like, hey, in March, I'm going to be out. I'm doing this and that. And I was like, okay, cool. All right. I'll worry about it in March. But now it's March, and now I'm worried about it.
Yeah, you gotta go
price,
to
man?
somebody else, man.
So
What are
Mike
you paying?
Fuentes.
What are you paying?
Don't worry about me.
I'm curious.
I'm not going to take a quiz.
Zaz, how much do you think is too much for a haircut?
Definitely
Tell you what,
50.
I'm gonna.
Well, I know what
Here's what-
haircuts cost because I take my kids. I mean, if you're a male and
hang
you're
on.
paying $30,
Hang on.
a lot.
I wrote down the number that I pay every 10 days.
Yeah.
I wrote it down here. I'm just going to slide it over to you on the table. You
Okay,
tell
let
me
me
if
see.
that's too
This
much.
is including tip.
This is including tip.
Including
this is my all-in
And is this a
price.
shave also?
Yes.
Okay.
I bet it starts with a 6.
Is that too much?
It's more than that.
That number is offensive.
What's the first number?
That number is shocking.
All right, let's work backwards. What's the last number? 0,
Zero.
5, 0. All right, good. All right. So 60, 70, 80. Did I net was one of those 3?
It was.
Yeah.
It can't be 80.
It was 70.
Okay.
That I just told you over 30. Now, granted, I didn't say the beard, but if you're paying over 30, you're a male. I think that's a lot.
Mine was 45 before tip. What do you tip there? 5 or 10?
Yeah, what do you tip?
I go.
I recently picked it up from 15 to 20.
Whoa!
Yeah, I go 15. I gave
You're giving
$60.
a 40% tip then.
I tipped $15 on a $45 haircut, so I paid 60.
Look, Rosie's good. You know who goes to Rosie? Ubaldo Jimenez. You think I'm not going to trust Ubaldo Jimenez's barber?
$70 every 2 weeks, you said?
Every 10 days.
You won't go Ubaldo.
What is not an acceptable tip for the barber?
I think they're fine with $5.
I give $5 when I take my son.
I recently, so it took me forever to go from $10 to 15 because it was just like what I was doing. And then I was like, man, that's pretty bad. Let me get it at 15. And then breaking that routine got me to go from 15 to 20 real quick.
But see, here's the thing, guys. I'm in
much do you pay?
relationship with my barber.
See,
in a way, I'm almost like an affiliate marketer for my barber. It's different with me. I have a different setup, right? I have so many people that I've recommended to go to him.
Oh.
And
But
that
Tony,
they pay a different
So you're
price.
like Ubaldo
But
Jimenez
he has
for
a
this
month.
barber.
I assume he rents a chair at a place, right?
He owns the barber shop, 5-Star Cuts down in the Crossings.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
owns
why
it.
doesn't he recommend a guy
The
when a
Crossing.
doctor leaves town? A doctor says, okay, God forbid something happens, you're going to pick up my patients.
But
Yeah.
there's just no way when you text him that you're coming in, he
I don't
sinks a little
text him.
bit.
I don't text him. I
Because he's
set
just
up.
like, I'm going to
No.
make a little less money than
I'm
I
a
would.
Primos guy.
Absolutely not.
I'm a Primos guy.
I'm a 5-star guy.
That's all right. You can be a 5-star guy. Tell me your
Through
price.
and through.
Tell
I'm
me
not
your
going to
price.
tell you that. But what I'm going to tell you
If I drop
is,
your name, if I say, hey, Tony Collada, you'd send
He's
me.
not saying it because Tony's
Absolutely.
price is nobody else's price. So
That's
Tony
the
doesn't
thing.
want to say it because then everyone's going to go
Because
there.
everyone's like, I want the Tony price.
that's the thing. But you can't always get the Tony price. You got to be there for 15 years. You got to recommend a certain amount of
You
people.
pay half of what I
But
pay.
his rent has gone up.
I just don't
See,
understand.
less. That is so messed up. And he's your boy.
That's again, Chris. You're not understanding the part that me and him have a long-standing
But his rent
relationship.
has still gone up over the years. There's
Of
no way
course.
he's paying less than he was
Of
10
course,
years ago.
No,
But-
but everybody's like, this guy's such a great billboard for my business. This guy
Bingo.
goes out like, hey, your hair looks incredible. Where do you get your haircut?
How many times has he
Crossings.
been on the show?
Once.
No,
He cut my dad's hair.
he cut Mike Ryan's hair.
Okay, so
that's
twice.
Oh, this was a dude that shaved my head?
Yes.
Twice in 20 years.
Terrible job.
And you've mentioned it like 5 times.
No, he nailed it. I was definitely bald. Just wasn't happy with the results.
Well, that's more of an issue
but
with the
look,
Feinbaum
your boy came back though.
Of course.
It allowed me to get some topical treatments
It's
on there
almost
and really
like he
attack
did
the
you a
problem at
favor.
its root. No doubt. There was what I kept telling myself is there are some people that when they shave it does come back
It comes
stronger.
back stronger.
I
Yeah.
was- thank
That's why
God.
sometimes you shave babies' heads. All of a sudden, boom, they flow with hair.
Yeah, that's
So
a
again,
very Latin thing.
It is. Affiliate marketers as, okay? I take care of my people. They take care of me. And that's how we do it.
I just don't understand. Like, he goes on vacation. He thinks you're supposed to look sloppy until he gets back?
I haven't really
He's putting you in a bad position here.
The issue is, so Mike Fuentes goes to the same barbershop I go to. He goes to the guy across from my guy, Luke, JJ. Now, me and JJ are friendly, but I've never cut my hair with JJ. So when I got to text Luke, and he's in a different place, or maybe the time zones are off, so I got to text him, hey, can I go to JJ? Like, am I good?
Yeah, you want to vet him through your guy.
Yeah, exactly. And be like, oh, no, maybe use this guy or that guy or whatever. Or,
Or
go to
JJ.
JJ. Right, or go to JJ. Right. So I want to get my guys, like my doctor is going to give me the opinion and then tell me, hey, go to this specialist. I like this guy a lot. He knows what he's doing.
How much do you pay for yours?
I do it myself.
All the time? Or
Yeah,
like,
all the time.
You don't have like a black tie event where you're like,
Nope.
I should probably.
No, because I shave my head with the electric razor, like straight up,
Okay.
the closest.
How about on the beard?
Just go all over the place.
So you let the beard grow for a couple of days and then you
No,
just
I do
shave
it all.
down?
I do it all. I don't use shaving cream and a regular razor anymore. I haven't done that in years.
Really?
Yeah.
You just
That's
raw
a thing of
dog
the
it.
past.
You
Well, no,
raw
I'm
dog
using
it.
an electric razor.
No, I know. You
The
raw
buzzer.
dog the electrical razor.
That's not raw dog.
That's
raw dog.
That is raw dog.
No, I use the electrical razor all over, beard and head.
That
Do you get
implies,
ingrown
Mike,
hairs?
that some people use shaving cream for an electrical
No.
razor.
Like,
Right.
no. But any topical treatments after the fact?
No, I don't need it.
You got to kind of do that. You get ingrown hairs and whatnot.
Alcohol.
Do I have any?
Yeah.
Look,
Actually, I'm
what?
looking.
What do you
you're
mean, yeah?
right here. Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
All right.
Like all across your neck, unless that's rosacea, which it might be the case.
Maybe.
But it's along the neckline.
Am I having
So
a
you
bad
do-
skin day?
Like there, like on the you got some shaving bumps there, pal.
Right
We don't have to zoom in there. Let's not do that. To
Well,
him,
he's
Aaron.
he was lying.
I'm
It was a
lying.
lie.
Maybe I'm mistaken. You can't call me a liar right here.
He was saying that he didn't get ingrown hairs or shaving bumps, and like.
No, I do it on myself. Oh,
Zaz, why don't you go full beard?
He has over a dozen.
You know why I don't go full beard? I used to, but my beard comes in like all white now, and I look too old.
There's stuff for that.
So.
You can
No, I can't do
PDs.
that because then everybody's like, "Oh wow, you're coloring your beard." Like I've waited too long to do that. I should have done that when it started to gray.
Fat Joe has an incredible product. He's on the cover.
Yeah.
He's on the cover of it. All right, so we'll get away from your hair and back to, look, Sports Equinox is happening. Niche Sport Equinox is happening, especially down here locally. We have ATP, we've got WTA, we've got Homestead Motor Speedway, but everyone's going to be pretty locked in on March Madness, even though the ratings down here are pretty bad historically.
Always.
We don't have a team, we don't have a horse in the race this year, but give me a March Madness side of the day to get me excited for what's on tap.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
This is very exciting. And I know you were thinking like, oh, the tournament. I don't know if I'm into the tournament. So I got something. If you're looking to watch a little,
Be into the tournament.
if you're looking to watch a little less, yesterday you could have, because yesterday, every single team that was winning at halftime went on to win the game.
Yeah.
So you could have just watched the first half yesterday and been like, all right, I know how this game's gonna end.
Yeah, you actually didn't really have to watch any of it, and you didn't I know I didn't miss much, but I will be watching Omir. That's
Lock in, buddy,
my
lock in.
guy.
It was not a good tournament day yesterday. It was not good.
But you're saying the balance of things, it'll work out.
It always balances itself out. Always. And it's the fact that we had no madness yesterday. You'll see. You're going to have like 4 or 5 games today where you're going to have the madness. It always balances out.
Well, the Baylor game, they're a 1.5 point dog, so it's an 8-9
live doggy.
Yeah, you got to think that game will be close.
Well, I don't know. The 8-9 yesterday was some blowout. You know, wasn't that was Louisville and Creighton, right?
Another tournament that is kind of hit or miss so far is the March Sadness tournament, Chris.
Let me remind the people, though, that stat of the day brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon. Game day's #1 pour. Evan Williams Bourbon, straight bourbon whiskey, Bardstown, Kentucky, 43% to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly, 21 and over.
Go get yourself a taste.
Oh, so good.
So March Sadness, polarizing again this year. I think a lot of the feedback that I'm getting that's on the negative side is from exclusive podcast listeners, and I kind of get that because these are fan-submitted videos, and they're largely visual. You have the fan pointing and stuff. So we'll do a better job of trying to describe what's going on by not stepping on some folks. But do we have any submissions today, Chris Cody?
Yes, we have a bunch. Go to our social media. You can vote on all these. Watch all of our submissions. We had matchups yesterday. That voting is done. And today we will release the rest of our first-round matchups. What we will preview right here, a 1 seed. We have Matt, who's doing a great limited fake, versus 16 seed Steven.
Limited fake Dan. No one understands how strong Trent Williams is.
Dan, 64 fans competing for a chance to do something everyone knows that you don't want to do. You know what we call that? It's called Something's Gotta Give. Bracket busters, buzzer beaters, Cinderellas, upsets, blue bloods. You know what the B in blue blood stands for? It stands for beep count. You know what the other B in blue blood stands for? It stands for best fan of the show. This is a hell of a video. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, this has been my March Sadness submission.
So was that the 16?
That's a 16?
Yeah.
Who's the 16?
Billy and the committee did the rankings.
Wow.
But yeah, that's a strong 16 seed.
That's a tough break.
High production
That's
quality there
tough.
for a 16.
That's not the way that a 1 versus 16 should
That's
go.
a tough break.
When it's a 1 versus 16, I should never ask, who's the
who's
one
the one?
seed?
I mean, it was a good limited fake. The Trent Williams.
What he did with his face was definitely on brand for Dan.
And that 16 seed's beep count. So he's the guy that tracks all the beep count. Like, it's a A1 listener for us. So that's a.
But we're
not going to rank you higher just because we know you to be a good listener.
But we're aligned.
But it was a good video. It doesn't have to be a 16.
I'm with
Don't
you.
we have alignment
That's
though
a
that you
6.
should never ask who is the 1 seed
I'm
in a 1
with
versus
you.
16.
We played a couple 5 seeds yesterday that were not that great. So I don't know. I don't know what's really happening here.